Hello everybody, welcome to our class, to our online class. Dear students of 11 and 12 classes, how are you? You know that we are discussing right from verbs. And today I have selected a very interesting item of grammar for you, and that is modal auxiliaries. The use of modal auxiliaries. Very interesting and important. If you can understand today's class, that is the use of modal auxiliaries, I believe that you will be able to express the important ideas, the powerful feelings of your mind by using these modal auxiliaries. At the outset, I have a question. Dear students, do you know why they are named so? That is modal. Very interesting name. And I can't but share my fantastic experience with you that during my school days, I wrongly pronounced them as modal auxiliaries. But you should remember that these are not model, but these are modal. They are called modal auxiliaries and they are also called modal auxiliary verbs. But why they are named so? Modal. What does modal mean? Modal comes from, as is believed by some of the grammarians or language specialists, that the word modal is derived from mood, model, as these auxiliaries denote or explain the mood of the main verbs, and that is why they are named so, that is modals. And there is another opinion that these verbs are called modals because they are used to indicate modality. Modality means likelihood or necessity, obligation, willingness, probability, capability or capacity, expectation, permission, order, and advice. All these are modality. As they are used to express this modality, that is why they are named so, that is modal auxiliaries. What do these auxiliaries do? You know that auxiliaries are of two types, primary auxiliaries and modal auxiliaries. Modal auxiliaries facilitate the main verbs for suggesting, as I have already mentioned, probability or possibility, expectation, permission, obligation, etc. So they are so helpful. They are really fantastic and also interesting to express the fantastic ideas and the feelings of your mind. They have some distinguishing features. That is, they are different from the other auxiliaries and also from the other main verbs. That is, there is a tendency for most of the main verbs is that auxiliaries and main verbs, they change depending on the form of tenses. Just let's make a comparative study between these verbs and the other verbs. Just take the verb am, the primary, one of the primary auxiliary, and let's believe that this am is represents all the other primary auxiliaries. And let's try to use this am in sentence. Notice how am is changing depending on the form of tenses and the persons, on the singularity or the plurality. For example, I am going there. I have used am here, but I was going there. Am has become was, as the form of tense has changed. But what happens in the case of modal auxiliary? No, I can go there. I can go there. And if I want to make it, if you want to use in past form, I should use have after can. That is, I can have gone there. So, can is unchanged. So, modal auxiliaries do not use their form depending on the form of tenses and also depending on the number or the persons. For example, again examine the am. For example, I am going there, but he am going there. No, it is not correct. He is going there. They are going there. So primary auxiliaries change depending on the persons, on the number of the subjects. But what happens in the case of modal auxiliary? For example, I can go there, he can go there, they can go there. Those subject changes. No, can, that is modal auxiliary, does not change. So modal auxiliaries remain the same irrespective of the form of tenses and the numbers or the persons of the number of the subjects. These are the distinguishing features of modal auxiliaries. So this is very easy and simple to use, to understand and to use modal auxiliaries because they do not change their forms, they remain the same. Anyway, how many modal auxiliaries are there? There is disagreement among the specialists. Some say that they are 10 in number. Some say no, they are 15 in numbers. And some other experts say that no, they are 18 in numbers. Anyway, just simply, basically they are 10 in number. I have written them here: can, could, shall, should, will, would, may, might, must, what. These are the basic 10 modal auxiliaries. And what about the parenthesis? That is within bracket. I have also written some words or phrases, that is had to, what to or had better, used to and have to. Well, these words within brackets, that is in the parenthesis, these are semi-modals. These are not full modals, but they are semi-modals. So how many semi-modals we are getting here? Number 1, had to, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we are getting 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 semi-modals. So modal 10 and semi-modal 5, 15 if we consider the semi-modals as modals. And the status of dare or dare not and need and need not and what to is debatable. That is, some other specialists, language specialists and the grammarians, they believe that dare or dare not, need or need not, or what to or ought not to, they should also be included in the modal auxiliaries. But this is debatable. That is, there is disagreement among the grammarians whether these are at all auxiliaries, modal auxiliaries, and the use of these modals as auxiliaries can vary across the dialects of English. That is, whenever you are going to use or treat this dare, dare not, need not, ought to or ought not to, there arises a debate. So these are debatable. So in one sense, modal auxiliaries basically are 10 in number. There is no disagreement that all admit that yes, the number of modal auxiliaries is no less than 10, but there are still some other auxiliaries modal which can be considered also modals, semi-modals, but there is debate among the grammarians. This is the fact. Anyway, I have written, and it is important to note that these modal auxiliaries can also be used in their negative form. That is, you can use can, you can also use cannot, or in contraction form cannot. You can use could or could not, or in contraction form, that is couldn't. In the same way, shall, shan't, should, shouldn't, won't, wouldn't, meant, mustn't. You can use the negative form of these modal auxiliaries and also in contracted forms. And you can use also all these auxiliaries in all types of sentences. That is, in affirmative sentence, is in negative sentence, in interrogative sentence, and in negative interrogative sentences. You can use these modal auxiliaries in all types of sentences. Just let me give an example, a simple example that let's take should, and I can use should in all types of sentences. For example, I should go there. This is in affirmative sentence. I should go there. And then I shouldn't or I should not go there. Again in negative sentence. And then should I go there? In affirmative sentence I am using should as modal auxiliary. And then shouldn't I go there? In negative interrogative sentence. So you can use modal auxiliaries or modal auxiliary verbs in all types of sentences. Okay, now today's vital question: what type of main verbs we should use after these modal auxiliaries? This is the very interesting thing. This is the essence of our today's discussion, which I want to mean. That is the question, the $1,000,000, the $1,000,000,000 question arises. What type of verb we should use after these modal auxiliaries, as our topic is today modal auxiliaries and the right form of verbs. So the answer is that modal auxiliaries always take base form of main verbs, always. But can't we use modal auxiliaries in past form? Of course, but you should not change in the basic form of modal auxiliaries. That is, can is always can, could is always could, shall is always shall, should is always should, will is always will, would is always would, always. So how can we use this modal in the past form? We have to use have after modal. Can have, should have, shall have, should have. Then it will become past. We can also use these modals in present continuous. Then you have to use be, modals plus be plus main verb, and of course an ing. You can also use the past continuous form of these modal auxiliaries. Anyway, I am not going to discuss these things today, but I will leaving this for the next class. When we will resume our next class in next week, then I will discuss all these things, that is in how can we use modal auxiliaries. I am leaving this for the next class. Anyway, I have already put a question and I have also made the answer, that is, what type of main verbs we have to use after all these auxiliaries, modal auxiliaries. And the answer is that after all these modal auxiliaries we have to use the base form of main verb. Now I am going to give you some examples. Each example, just one example for each of the modal. Okay, but I am going to undo those effects. Those what do they indicate? So before effacing, before erasing this, just please notice can, could, they indicate ability and probability. Shall, should, or ought to, had better, they indicate obligation and probability. Will, would, they indicate willingness and politeness. May, might, probability and permission. And must and ought indicate necessity. Anyway, I will discuss all these things in detail in the next class. Now I am going to give some examples. Number one, can, could. Let me give some example. I can do it. And then these are the example. I could do it. And then with shall and should. With shall, I shall visit my parents on Friday. Visit in the parenthesis, and then should. You should not burn the midnight oil. And then will and would. I will pay tomorrow. And then would. Would you please listen to me? Then may and might. She may come today. Today. Might. She might come today. And then must. Lisa must reach home before the night fall. Okay, we have no space here, so let's stop here. And I have written here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sentences. For 10 basic modal auxiliaries, I have written 9 sentences here. Now let's explain. I have put the main verbs in each case within brackets, and we should use the correct form of verbs within bracket. So notice all these verbs. Shall is a modal auxiliary. Should is a modal auxiliary. As we have already mentioned that shall and should indicate probability and obligation. In the same way, here do, can is a modal auxiliary, could is a modal auxiliary. Can and could indicate probability and sometimes of course ability, capability and politeness. And then shall, okay, then I will pay tomorrow. Here is pay and here is will, modal auxiliary, and here is would, modal auxiliary. So what should be the correct form of verbs here? And then she may come today. Here may is modal auxiliary, might is modal auxiliary, and must, here is must. Lisa must reach home before the night fall. So I have used modal auxiliaries in each of the case of each sentences. So what we have already mentioned, that is modal auxiliaries always take the base form of main verbs, always. So here I can do it, as here is modal auxiliaries, so we should the base form, that is do, always. If you use I can doing it, the present participle, if it is wrong, because we have to use the base form. Or if you use here I can did it, this is wrong, because we have to use the base form of main verbs always after modal auxiliary. And then same is the case here, I could, here is could, the modal auxiliary, so we should do here, that is the base form. The base form is here, do. If you say I could did it or I could done it, this is wrong, because after modal auxiliary we have to use the present form or the base form of main verb. Now I can, there is difference between this sentence, that is I can do it, it means that the subject I is sure about his ability to do this, but I could do it. It is not fast, but this means the subject I is not sure about his ability. Anyway, the details use of modal auxiliaries will be discussed in my next class, as I have already mentioned. And then shall, should, ought to, had better. I shall visit my parents on Friday. I shall, here is modal auxiliary. So visit should be visit, that is the base form. After shall, the modal auxiliary, we have to use the base form. And then you should not burn the midnight oil. You should is the modal auxiliary. So burn, the base form should be there. After modal auxiliary we should use burn in base form or present form. Dear students, do you know the meaning of this phrase? To burn the midnight oil. To burn the midnight oil means to go to bed too much late. That is opposite to go to bed earlier. So to burn the midnight oil means you are going to bed too much late. Anyway, then I will pay tomorrow. Here will, this is modal auxiliary, so we should use the base form. So I will pay tomorrow. And then would you please listen to me? Here I have used would in the interrogative sentence just to express politeness. When you are using would to put a question, it means that you are very modest and you know the etiquette. You are expressing your question through politeness. So would you please, here is would, the modal auxiliary, so we should here listen here, that is the base form of the main verb. And then she may come today. She may come today. She may, as we have already mentioned that may and might, they express probability or sometimes permission. When you use may as may I come in sir in an interrogative sentence, it expresses politeness. Anyway, I have used here a may in affirmative sentence. So may, and after may comes come. That is, if you use here any other form, that is here is modal auxiliary. So if you say she may comes today, it is wrong, because you should always put the base form after modal auxiliary. Even if you say she mays, as this is third person singular number, so you are putting sa or es at the end of may. No, modal auxiliary is modal auxiliary which never changes its forms depending on the number and persons or the tense, as we have already mentioned. So you should not use sa, and auxiliaries never take ing or s or es at the end, you know. So she may come today, there is a probability or possibility that she may come. She might come today. Again, might is modal auxiliary which expresses less probability. Come today, that is here may and might. Might is never the first form of may here, but both are present. But she may come today, that is there is a strong probability. But when you say she might come today, it means that the level, the degree of probability is less than this sentence. And then Lija must reach home before the night fall. Lija must reach. Here must is the modal auxiliary which expresses necessity and sometimes obligation. Reach here is the main verb. So you should use the base form after must, which is must is an modal auxiliary. You should use the base form. That is Lija must reach home before the night fall. That is before evening Lija must arrive home. So what we are getting here? We see that in all the first brackets, all the verbs, main verbs have taken the base form or the present form, because the rule for modal auxiliaries is that modal auxiliaries always take base form or present form of the main verbs. We have also written here some semi-modals as had to, what to, had better, used to, have to. They have the same meaning, but they are grammatically different. And should, that is what to and had better, sometimes replace should. For example, ought to, you can give an example like this: we ought to take a taxi. We ought to take. The main verb has taken the base form, and this is noticeable. This is important. That is, what type of main verb you are using after modals. And then had better. Had better. You had better stay with us tonight. You had better stay with us tonight. Let me write down this sentence. With had better. Had better is of course used in informal English or in informal context. For example, you had better stay with us tonight. So, stay, notice here, stay, had better is here. This is semi-modals. The rule applicable for modals, also applicable for semi-modals. So, you had better, here is the semi-modal. So, after semi-modal, we are to use the base form of main verb. So, you had better stay with us tonight. আজ রাতটি আমাদের সাথে থেকেই যাও না. You can express this type of very powerful and fantastic sentences by using modal auxiliaries. Ladies and gentlemen, dear students, let's stop here. I have decided to give you 2 classes on modal auxiliaries, and I have finished the first part today, and I hope that we will come back our next class, and then we will discuss in detail the second part of modal auxiliaries. Thank you very much for joining me. Have a nice day.